This is Joseph. At this point in his life, Joseph is living his dream literally, and he is responsible for this vast empire, the kingdom of Egypt. And there is no other position higher than Joseph except Pharaoh himself. Joseph's position is the prime minister of all Egypt, and Egypt and all the surrounding nation depend on Joseph for their survival. But Joseph's life did not begin here. Before we could get to this part of the story, let's go back a few years when Joseph was back home in the home of this man, Jacob, the grandson of Abraham. Jacob have 12 sons, and Joseph is the favorite one. Joseph would often have dreams. In one of his dreams, he and his brothers was gathering hay, and his hay stood up straight, and all of his brothers' hay bowed before his. In another dream, the sun, the moon, the stars all bow around him. And he would often tell these dreams to his fathers and his brothers, but his brothers hated him because of his dream. They hated him more when the father gifted him a multicolored coat. One day, Jacob said to Joseph, "Go down and see how your brothers are doing." They were pasturing sheep. As their brothers saw Joseph's coming, they said to themselves, "Here come the dreamer. Let's kill him and see what become of his dream." Later, they decided against killing him, but threw him in the well. Eventually, they sold him to Ishmaelite traders heading down to Egypt, who later sold Joseph to Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard.
Judah, please! No, help me. Levi, please. Issachar.
With Joseph in charge over Potiphar's house, the Lord blessed Potiphar in everything in his house. However, Potiphar's wife lusted after Joseph, and she would often daydream about him. One day she saw her opportunity and grabbed Joseph, and the minute that he come to bed with her, Joseph tore his clothes and ran from her. When her husband came home, she accused Joseph of attempting to have his way with her. Potiphar was furious and threw Joseph in prison. There he remained for several years. One day, Pharaoh was upset with his cupbearer and the chief baker and threw the two of them in prison. One night, the cupbearer and the chief baker each had a dream. The cupbearer, in his dream, he saw that he had the cluster of grapes in his hand, and he squeezed them in Pharaoh's cup and then later placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. In the chief baker, in his dream, he saw that he was carrying all sorts of pastries and bread for Pharaohs, and the birds came and ate bread from his head. Joseph explained to them what each dream meant. Later, the cupbearer was restored back to his position and the chief baker was hanged. But however, the cupbearer forgot all about Joseph. Many years later, Pharaoh also had a dream. In his dream, he saw 7 fat cows grazing in the marshland. Those cows was consumed by 7 skinny cows, and even after consuming the fat cow, the skinny cow remained skinny. And Pharaoh had a second dream, different but similar. The following day, Pharaoh explained his dream to the cupbearer, who at that very moment remembered Joseph. Joseph was brought to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh told Joseph his dream. Joseph told him the 2 dreams are identical. The fat cows represent 7 years of plenty, and the 7 skinny cows represent 7 years of famine. Joseph told Pharaoh he should find a wise and responsible man and place him in charge and have him collect 20% of all the crops produced in Egypt and store for the 7 years of famine. Pharaoh, realizing that there is no one in his kingdom wiser than Joseph, promoted Joseph and placed him in charge over all Egypt and declared that Egypt will not move a muscle without Joseph saying so. And just as Joseph predicted, 7 years of plenty came, followed by 7 years of famine. The famine was so great that it even affected the countries around Egypt. One day, Jacob said to his son, I heard that there is grain down in Egypt. Go to Egypt and buy grain so we and our family will not starve. When the brothers came to Egypt, Joseph recognized them immediately and placed them in jail. He accused them of being spies coming down to Egypt to look for their weaknesses.
10 foreigners asking for grain. No ties to Egypt. Are you thieves hoping to see where we store our grain? Spies? I don't know what you are, but I don't believe your story. Till then, arrest this one. We'll hold him until you produce this youngest brother. Take him.
Come on. Stop. Judah! Help me!
Later, he released 9 of them, except for Simeon, and he sent the others back to Canaan and told them to bring their younger brother, Benjamin, to corroborate their stories. When the brothers came the second time, Joseph had a great feast for them and sent them back with their grain and money. But also Joseph told his attendant to place his cup in Benjamin's sacks. As the brothers was heading out of the city, Joseph sent his guard after them and accused them of stealing his cup that he used to tell the future. The cup was later discovered in Benjamin's bag, and Benjamin was seized, and they all came back to Egypt. There, the brothers pleaded for Benjamin to be set free. Joseph was moved that the same brothers who was jealous of him are now pleading that Benjamin be free, the one who is favored by his father. Joseph, moved with emotion, revealed his identity to his brother, saying, I am Joseph, your brother, the one you sold to slavery. God was sending me ahead to prepare a way for you and your family. The brothers went back home and told their father, Joseph is alive and he is in charge of all Egypt. When Jacob heard the news that his beloved son was still alive and that he wanted to see him, he packed his belongings and moved down to Egypt. As Jacob was coming into the city, Joseph ran up to him and embraced him for a long time.
I see him. There he is. It's him. There he is. Joseph!
Father. Father! Father! Father!
Joseph. My boy. My boy.
If you like these short
Your
biblical
mother prayed
content,
this day would come.
please subscribe to this
That
channel.
we'd all
The
be
Word
together
became
again as a
flesh.
family. It's a miracle.
Yes, Father. It is a miracle.